you're working, you may have children that you've still got to look after. You've got aging parents who may or may not already be needing your help in some capacity. And then you have the job of trying to find the best care for them, which is a bit of a daunting task for most people. I offer a care monitoring service. So that could be as often as you like, but monthly is a general guide. And bearing in mind, I spent years auditing my own care home and then care in the community. I basically can do a discrete audit, make sure that the care is being delivered that they say they're going to deliver, that it's of a high quality, that the person's happy and clean, and the care plans are acceptable.
I'm Luca, co-founder of the Living Care Company, and welcome to Jodie Brookes from Brookes Care Solutions today. We love to chat to experts within the care industry, providers of services and products and things like that. But thanks for joining us, Jodie.
Good morning.
What do you do?
I'm a nurse. I've been a nurse for over 20 years. And I spent the first part of my career managing nursing homes and doing a lot of managerial things. But that sort of had a little bit of a shelf life for me, and I decided I'd like to work on my own. And about 12 years ago, I gave up managing nursing homes, and I did two jobs at the same time. So I was doing palliative care in the community, and I did that for a hospice at home charity. For the most of the time, I was a nurse, but I also managed the service for short periods when they needed a manager, and I was a clinical auditor for them as well. So I looked at the quality of the care and that sort of thing. But alongside the role with the hospice at home charity, I was an expert witness to the court, and I still am, and I still do that. So I mainly advise the courts on care packages for people with life-limiting illness. So that's usually an asbestos, cancer, which sadly is incurable, or I would often be involved in delayed diagnosis cases. So where there'd been a delay in the diagnosis of somebody's cancer and then that turned out to be incurable, then I would advise the courts on what care those people needed and how much that was likely to cost, etc. So I'm still doing that role alongside this business, Brookes Care Solutions, which I'm trying to build now, and we're gaining some traction now, which is great.
And typically, do your clients come to you needing your help with?
Yeah. In this country, and in Wales as well, if you are a self-funder, which is my client group, then you get very little help to find the right care. So you'll probably be given either a website address or a brochure from the local authority that's got a list of care providers in it. It may not have all the care providers in it, but you're basically then on your own. You have to decide which care provider to use. And many families don't have experience in care. They don't have a healthcare background. And due to the sort of sandwich generation now, this is often people who are working, age 45 to 60, they're still working. So you're adding this in onto an already full plate. You're working, you may have children that you've still got to look after. You've got aging parents who may or may not already be needing your help in some capacity. And then you have the job of trying to find the best care for them, which is a bit of a daunting task for most people. And that's where I come in, really, because of my experience that I've had both managing nursing homes and 12 years in the community. I've got quite a unique skill set that allows me to spot problems before they occur. And with the fact that I'm a nurse, I can go to those clients and with my nursing hat on and do a nursing assessment and give them a really clear idea of what care they need to be looking for. And then I can just go and do that for them, really, being a buffer in between the family and the care provider a lot of the time.
So obviously stage one is the discussion of what care is needed, how much care, and in what sort of environment, I suppose.
Yeah.
How do you do that? Do you get the clients to fill in a form, or do you just have a conversation with them and take details, or?
Yeah. So it all starts with a conversation, really. And I just get the broad, what is the key problem at the moment? What is the most urgent thing that we need to deal with? So that's really what I established to begin with. And there's three main areas that I help people with. Finding care in their own home. So that's for people, obviously, that want to stay at home, but be supported to be as independent as possible. And then residential care. So care homes, nursing homes, That's my speciality. I can also look at assisted and supported living. And the third option is end of life care. Because of my background in supporting people at the end of life, I know not just care providers in the standard sense, like agencies or in things like that. I can also look at hospices and hospice at home services and things that may be available free of charge to the client. So it's not all about care's very expensive. We know that. So I do also look at ways to mitigate some of those costs. So they're the three main areas: care in your own home, care in a residential facility, and end of life care, wherever that may be. And we tend to look at all of the options in that scenario because end of life care can be very unpredictable.
And do you currently have a pretty good understanding of some of the high quality sort of care providers, whether that's domiciliary or living care or nursing / residential care? Do you feel that you've got a really good understanding? Because even for you, it's a complicated process of being able to assess the truth behind what is high quality. How do you define what's a high quality level of service? Even for you, it must be fairly to navigating the system, presumably.
Yeah, I cover England and Wales, basically. There's no way on earth you can be familiar with every single care provider in England and Wales. So I have a system of my own, which I suppose I've just developed over the last 12 years of looking at care packages for the courts. And so they all run through a filter for me. Obviously, I look at the CQC report, I look at the website, I look at the reviews that might be on Google and the harder to find reviews. I also look at things like Trustpilot. I look at Glassdoor if they're on that, so what their employees say about them. So you're getting a really holistic view. And I also call them. So that might sound really basic, but often you can tell a lot about the response that you get from somebody on the phone. The way they deal with a customer, the way they deal with me is likely to reflect how they're going to be for my client going forward. So if nobody answers the phone or there's no answering service or they say, oh yes, my colleague will get back to you, and then it takes them 3 days, all of this I'm logging the client. It builds a picture. So I'm essentially saving the client hours and hours of ringing around, research, and I'm doing it with my background of experience, which many of them won't have.
And so obviously that bit of the service, finding the right type of care in the right setting from the right provider, that's the initial bit. Do you then help the families monitor things as they go on along and maybe advise them? How does that work? Because you might not actually speak directly to the care provider on the family's behalf, or do you once it's started?
Yeah, I always speak to the care provider directly on the family's behalf as part of the process of auditing and finding them the right care. I've got to do that. And then once the care's put in place, I offer as part of my packages a follow-up call with the family. So they can take that at any time in the couple of months after the care's been put in place, depending on their individual situation. But that gives them the opportunity to tell me how it went. Is there any problems? And then I also offer, if they want this service, some of them, that's all they need from you. And they just, thank you very much. But in the case, if you've got somebody that lives in Scotland and their mother's in Dorset, for example, and they can't get down to see her very often, I offer a care monitoring service. So that could be as often as you like, but monthly is a general guide. And bearing in mind, I spent years auditing my own care home and then care in the community. I basically can do a discrete audit, make sure that the care is being delivered that they say they're going to deliver, that it's of a high quality, that the person's happy and clean, and the care plans are acceptable. I could do all of that, depending on what the family needs, really.